Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. In our last video we talked about creating a solution. We went over how to do that. We also created environment variables that will be used in our application, in our Power Apps and also our Canvas apps and also in our Power Automate. So in this video, let's get down to the nitty-gritty. Let's get down in starting to create our Canvas app, our travel app request application. Now, before I started, when I first began this video, I accidentally created the application in the production environment. This is going to be my production environment. So I switched it and I recreated everything in this environment, which is my dev environment. So I am in my dev environment now. So if this looks different, that's why, but everything's the same. So let's go into our application. So as you can see, I am in the solution, and I'm going to click edit. It's saying we are unable to find the list. I think all I need to do is just reconnect to it. So I'm going to go to my site. Matter of fact, yeah, I'm going to go to the site. And it's good that this is happening because this happened to me a few times, even at work. So travel request approval. That's our list that helps us with our role-based security. So let me save. And in fact, what I did, I actually clicked on the wrong thing, which I'm glad I did because I was able to reconnect that. So let me reconnect that. And I'm going to go to apps. And here's our app, travel request approval app. This is what I wanted and not the list. So I'm going to click on this and I want to say edit. So now we're going to start creating our application, and we're going to use our list. So here's two things we're going to do in this video. We're going to set up the role-based security based on our travel list. And I'm going to show you that list in a second. And we're going to create our travel request form in this video. So let me bring this over here. This is our travel request approval. And so the current user will have one of these titles. I could also put it in row, but we're not going to be using this. So let me hide this. Let me hide this for now. But this is going to be our row. So our application is going to be based on row. It's going to be row-based security. So this is what we're going to be doing. And I'm going to show you how to do that now. So now here's our app. Don't show this again so we can skip it the next time. So now we are in our app. You know, for our beginners, this is our app. This is our canvas right here. This is the formula drop, our properties drop down where you can add formulas to each of the properties when you start adding your controls. And this side panel here, you can also get to the properties as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on the app. And this app basically controls what happens when the app opens. So you have these properties that are associated with this app object, I guess you can call it. And this is new. They just must have added this. But anyway, so this is our app object. And so the property that I'm going to use the onStart, because what I want to happen is as soon as the application is started, I want whatever's in here to start. So within this onStart, we're going to add some formula to check who the current user is. And if the current user has access to that travel approval list, that's how we know that they're a part, that they need to gain access to the application. So if you remember, each of these, we have a SharePoint group, and each SharePoint group is given item level permission to each of these items. So we have a team lead SharePoint group, and that team lead SharePoint group is given permissions to this team lead item. So when a user logs in and they're in the team lead group, this is all they're going to have access to. Now I would show that and give that example, but I only have one account in this environment, I did let the host know that I would like another account, so it's in the process of being provisioned right now. It's in pending mode, so that's why I thought it'd be ready by today, but it isn't. But I'll promise that in the next video, I'll definitely show you how that how that works. So what we need to do is we need to come in here and add our formulas. And why is this not? Let's see. Do I need to? Let me go to advanced. See if I need to unlock it. Why is it locked? Why is it locked? Okay, I don't know what was going on, but it just all of a sudden just came alive. So it's not disabled anymore. So let's get started. Excuse me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set a formula, a variable. I'm going to call it is user admin. And then what we're going to do is we're going to check to see if the current user is in the list. So I'm going to do, let's do the lookup first. So let's look up into our list. There it is, travel request approval, where the title is equal to team lead or title equal to manager or title is equal to senior manager. So if you remember, these are the items that it's in our travel request approval list. So now that I've done that, let me close this up. I'm also going to add now this checks and is either going to bring back a blank record or is going to bring back a record. So we want to check it if it's blank. So we're going to say is blank because it doesn't bring back a Boolean. So we need to check. And doing this is blank returns true or false. So we're going to say that, and then we're going to come here, we're going to close that off. So we're saying, hey, if it's blank, now if it's blank, if it's blank, it'll be true. I'm sorry, if there is nothing in there, if it truly is blank, it'll be true. But if there's something, if there is an item that it returns, this will be false. But what we're looking for is, this is looking for, okay, is user admin. So what we want to do is we want to flip this with a logical, I think you call it a logical or. Logical not. So this is called an logical not. Because if there is an item, it's blank, it's not blank, so it returns a false. So what we want to do is we want to flip it to true. So now we flip it, and so now this item will hold true. And if there is nothing in there, it returns true, but then we flip it and it's going to be false. So it'll be the current user is not an admin. So now we're going to use this variable based on who's logged in and control what they can see and what they can't see. So let's start with that. And when I get my second account provisioned, I'm going to show you exactly how this works. I can't show you how it works with the current account that I have because it sees everything. So I'm a like a site collection. I'm an admin, so it sees everything. So let's go ahead and get started. So let's do something simple. I'm going to add me 2 containers. One container is going to be for the travel request, so users can come in and log in, and the other container, just so I can show this example of using the is user admin, is going to be an admin container. So let's go ahead and do that. So let me come over here, and I'm going to say, in the classic, I'm going to say container. And I'm going to copy this and then create another one. So right now, I'm not too worried about the style. I mean, I could have picked some type of theme, but I'm not too I can just, pick a theme. I'm not worried about that right now. We can work on the theme later. I just want to get everything up and running first. So here, I'm going to add, let me widen this a little bit. Come here, widen this a little bit. And let me add some color so we can see. Let's see. I don't know if that's too strong. Uh, let's use this. Okay, let me. Unfortunately, I can't select both at the same time. So let's do this. Add a little radius. Add a little radius here as well. Okay, yeah, I don't want to. Yeah, I got to be careful. I'm gonna stop playing around, and I don't want the video to be too long. So I'm gonna say travel request. Let's call this travel request. And let's do that. Let's make it bold. And let's get two more labels. And I'm gonna say, let's say new request. I could also make that a button, but we can leave it as that. So I'm not a designer, so if I was working on a team, the designer will take care of all this. Let's call this my request. All right, and so now I'm just gonna kind of copy this. Copy, and I'm gonna come here and I'm gonna paste, move it up some, and I'm gonna change this. Let's change this to admin. Admin. And let's call this, what should we call this? Let's say approvals. So if they need to go in and look at approvals. And let's call this, my approvals, which will just show them just their approvals. Okay. So now that's what we have, and we can make this look pretty later. So when a current user logs in, if they are not a is user admin, we don't want them to be able to log into this part. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come here. Let's see. I can go up to the disable mode because I am going to have, when I get the approval screens going, it's going to be an on select that'll navigate you to that screen. So I want this to be disabled. So we're going to come up to display mode, and we're going to say if, remember our variable is user admin. So if they're an admin, we want them to be able to, the current user, we want them, is display mode, we want them to be able to edit. Else, display mode dot disabled. So it'll look disabled. Let me come up here. Yeah, there you go. Whenever you make anything to on start, you have to make sure you come in and run the start. But I'm glad you saw that. So now so because I'm an admin anyway, this is enabled for me. But if I was a user and I was not an admin, this would be disabled. So I hope you see how this formula works. I hope you can get the gist of that. So I'm gonna come here. I'm gonna grab this, copy, and I'm gonna add it to this as well. This is display mode. Display mode. And I'm gonna come in here, Control A, Control V, boom, and same thing. So not to belabor the point, but if the current user comes in and they are not an admin, this will be disabled. If they're an admin, this will be enabled. So now the next thing, so now that we have that working, the next thing we need to work on is let's work on our form. So let's close the screen. Let's come up here, right here, I'm sorry, right here, new screen, and let's just do a blank screen. I leave all the container and the all that stuff to designers. Anyway, so now that we have our screen, now we need to add our form. I am going to add a container. At least I can do that part. So let's come in here and let's say container. Just add a container. And so now what we're going to do is let's come up here and let's add a label. And I'm going to do this. And I'm going to say travel request form. And let's make this bold. Center it. Let's give it a background color. Let's make the text white. All right. So now let's add our form. Come up here to the insert. Let's go to edit form. So here's our edit form. So now it's asking us to connect it to a data source, and let's do that. So we come over to data source, and we want to connect it to our travel request. And this is, remember, this is our variable, so it's connected to our travel request, and it's going to add our form for us. So there's our form. Let's expand it. Now we don't want all of these fields in our form because some of these are for just the approvals, and the users are not going to be, they're not going to need to add anything to these forms. These fields are going to be manipulated using Power Automate. So let's hide these. So let's come over here where it says 19. This used to say edit, but now it says 19 selected. Looks like Microsoft's making some changes. And let's start at the bottom. Remove. We can leave our attachment there for now. So I'm just going to remove all these fields. Yeah, we don't need this. We don't need that. We don't need this. We don't need that. Don't need this. And we don't need this. Okay. Let's do 2 columns. So let's see, we got everything that we need. Okay. So I'm gonna make it 2. So I'm gonna fix all this up. I also need to, this is a justification field, so we need to make this a little bigger. So let's come down here and let's say about 100. Well, let's say 150. Okay, push that. I did accidentally take out our attachment. So let me add the attachment back. And voila. Okay, it's looking a little bit good. Okay, now I don't like scrolling in my forms, nor do I like long forms. So if I even made this 1 column, it'll do that. I don't want to make it 3. I can make it 3, but just for the sake of this video and showing how to use tabs, I'm going to use tabs. So let's go ahead and use modern tabs. So I'm going to bring that down. And let's come over here. So whenever you have a long form, you want to break it up into tabs if you can. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to use the modern tab list. So let's add that here. And this looks like it's using a theme. Okay, and let's expand the stretch of the page, the canvas. So now I'm going to come over. Now here is our tabs. So I think we only need 2 tabs. And let me rename this first. I'm going to call this, I'm going to say request tab. There you go. And I'm going to come up here and I'm going to call this, let's split it into 2. Let's say trip details. And let's come over here and let's call this financial and accommodation details. And let's take out this last thing here. And I didn't close this, that's why it's crying. All right. So tab. So there we have it. And it's not doing anything and our form is not showing. So let's fix that. So let's come down here. And we're going to say it's in edit mode. What we really want is new. So now when we come up here, there's our form. So now what we want to do is we want to associate the appropriate fields with each of these tabs. So let's go and take care of that. So let's click this. Don't show me this again. Okay, so what we're going to do is let's select the fields that we want, right? So once you've put your fields in the appropriate order, you select it. And then you're going to come over here to this visible property. And we're going to say, I think the name of our tab is request tab, right? Dot selected dot value equal. So if it's equal to trip details, we want to hide it. No, I'm sorry, we want to show it. So if it's equal to trip details, it's the same thing as saying if, right? I don't have to put the if there. This is going to evaluate to the Boolean true. So this is just pretend there's a true there and it makes it visible. So watch, let's come here. And if I click to financial and accommodation details, it should be hidden. And as you can see, it is hidden. So now let's go back and let's use that same formula for the other field. So I want to use that on, let me see. I want to use that on here. Go to visible. And I want to use that on my trip destination. And let me see. I want to use that on travel start visible. And let's do it on travel end. Required. What's going on? Let's come here. Let's unlock it. So paste. Oops. Oh. All right. So let's come back here and try it again. Go to visible. Paste. So I think we got all the fields. Yep. Okay, so now we want to do the same thing for accommodations, except the value is going to be different. The conditional value. So let's go to that field. See, as you can see, they're gone. But we don't want these fields to show up on the trip details tab. So let's go to visible. But let's change the formula to financial and accommodation details. think that's spelled correctly. All right, come here. Let's do the same thing here. And let's come here, go to our visible property, do the same thing. And let's come to our attachments and do the same thing. Visible. So paste. So now, let's see if this works. So it does work. So now, let's see. I'm going to rearrange this a little bit. I'm going to come over here, select it, and I'm going to go to the properties, click on this, and let's say justification. Let's move that down. Okay, trip destination. Okay, let's come to our travel start date. Actually, all I can do here is I'm just going to come over here and I'm going to say with fit, and so it should push the travel start date down, which it didn't. So let's just do this, and there you have it. All right, so now, all right, that works. Come over here. So that looks good to me, and you know, if you do something like this, you can arrange it how you want. Now we're missing something though. We're missing our button. Let's add a button. So let's come over here and let's add a modern button. Why not? Ooh. Let's say submit. Submit. Okay. Let's make it a little bigger. Okay. And so now that we've made it a little bigger, let's see. Now when we're on the trip details tab, I don't want this button to show. I only want it to show when we're here. So what do you think? All we have to do is come over here and just grab this formula. Come here, go to visible, boom. Let's also go to the on select property, submit form, and the form we want to submit is form 1. Even had the IntelliSense work there. Form 1. Oh, excuse me, sorry. So there you have it. Now let's test it out. So we're here. Let's go to this tab, and it's gone. So let's test this out. Let's just add anything in here. If you want to add in their receipt, you can do that, and let's submit. Okay. Let's go and see our list to see if it got inserted. Let me bring this over. So here is our list, our travel request. Oh, and there it is. There's all the stuff I just added. So it works. All right. So now we have our form working. I'm going to do some other things as far as navigating to somewhere else. I'll probably do that. I'll probably do the finishing touches of this in our next video. But I hope you have an idea of how this works, how the tab works, how using the environment variables, you know, and most importantly, how to implement role-based security. You know, and we can do other things too. You know, we can also have a is user team lead, is user manager, is user senior manager, and based on who it is, we can show and hide certain things based on the title. And that's just basically the idea of role-based security. And it's just using SharePoint. It's using the item level permission of SharePoint, and that's the beautiful thing about SharePoint. You know, security is baked in, and you can use it in your Power Apps now. I hope that made sense. Thanks for watching. Please give a thumbs up. Please share. I appreciate you guys. Thank you. Bye.